Put a smile on your face. We've got you covered. You are in the home of quality entertainment and refreshing voice fires.
Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Press Drive on I-FLIER 103.3 FM.
This is the day that the Lord has made. We'll rejoice and be glad in it. Man, trust in chariots and some in horses. But we will continuously and continually trust in the name of the Lord our God, the maker of the heavens and the earth. I know that a lot of us are quite disappointed in some things happening in Nigeria, but then you don't have to worry yourself. There's a lot to look out for because Nigeria will be great again. A lot of things are going to happen again in Nigeria. I want to assure you that, weeping may endure for a night, but joy definitely will come in the morning. And our morning is always almost here. And I'm sure that you will be delighted when you see the break of the day. And that time, it will be you and me. All of us are going to rejoice together, and we're going to do that together. And it will be an exciting time for us to work together as one. Once again, welcome to Press Drive on I-FLIER 103.3 FM Ibadan, the perfect choice station for the high flyers. My name is SAMSON, OMOTOSHO. Yes, let's do this morning. It's always nice to be here on the radio dial for us to discuss some salient matters, making the rounds, all the news making headlines on our several dailies, and we need to look at it holistically, talk about it, and afterwards we get the time to analyze them one after the other. And I'm sure that when the time is right, I will open the phone lines for you to join the conversation so we can get it going. Are we ready to do it? Good morning, Nigerians, once again. It's good to be here. Alright, so I have several dailies in front of me this morning. So I'm going to begin with the Nation newspaper this morning. If you take a look at it, this one says federal government clears full-time HND graduates for NYC. Also, no political realignment can stop Tinubu in 2027, who says it's all about Ganduje. And it's breaking. Senate okays state of emergency in Rivers State. Also, Natasha calls for recall intensify at home front. In the department headquarters, defense headquarters, we're unaware of North Community's peace deal with bandits. Alleged fraud. Court rejects EFCC's additional proof of evidence against Emefiele. Also, payment of 77,000 naira allowance to begin end of March, says NYC Director General. Kanu's trial begins fresh today before new judge. And in entertainment, Yinka Rhymes are set for Somebody Tour 2025. Mba Oyebanji Ododo for Nigeria SMEs Awards. Also, Theatre Mania Africa Festival, Nubat Young to head awards jury. Ugo returns from Bum Bum. Okay, returns with Bum Bum. That's what we saw here. All right, Carolina Achins walks out of Sophie Mamodu's dinner in RHO Lagos. Also, Bukirai says, my kids pushed me back to acting. My kids pushed me back to acting, says Bukirai. Cecil and Keke Amand says, meet the couple behind the Flytime Fest. Also, Rivers emergency, National Assembly saved democracy, remains African pride. Who says Obidike? Our APC members urged Tinubu party leaders to zone Guba ticket to Osun West. Our coalition is to grab power in 2027. Who's grabbing? Atiku. Honorable Alabi's bill to protest domestic workers in Nigeria, protect domestic workers in Nigeria, passes second reading. Tinubu saved Fubara from impeachment, says Obidike. In Rivers, inevitability of emergency rule. So that's the much you'll be able to take on the nation. Let's move on to other newspaper making the rounds. All right, so let's take a look at the Daily Post newspaper. On the front page of the Daily Post, this one says, Abuja truck accident, Wike pays medical bills of victims. Kwara government charges teachers on punctuality. On the foreign scene, Israeli security cabinet votes to dismiss Ronen Bar over rift with Netanyahu. Over 4 million naira ransom recovered as Kano police arrest 10 suspected kidnappers. In Rivers, Fubara hit back over allegations in Tinubu's broadcast, least Wike's faults. Nigerian troops capture wanted terrorists. While military denies knowledge of community negotiations with terrorists. Jigawa police support 35 families of deceased officers. Jigawa police support 35 families of deceased officers. After temporary closure, U.S. Embassy in Nigeria Republic restores services. We will not tolerate defamatory speech in the media, Kano government speaks. Kano State approves salary increase for tertiary institution staff. Also, Conor McGregor announces is running for president of Ireland. Conor McGregor. Meanwhile, emergency rule is due to meet the side on options for self-determination. INC president speaks. 10 Abuja. Well, for Rivers crisis, we talked about that anger as the National Assembly approves emergency rule, and why federal government hasn't started a direct allocation to local government areas, says Algon. Fubara exonerate South from pipeline vandalism, blames Wike for crisis in Rivers. Asaba 1967 massacre. Our people needs apology. Obi of Anambra, I think so. Speaking here, Obi of Edo. Is not Edo there. It's Delta speaking there. Obi of Asaba tells Tinubu, says, well, our people need apology against 1967 massacre. Rivers State emergency rule, a different view by Azu Adekunle Adekoya. You can pick it up on their editorial there. Also, Adelabu's predatory power tariffs. Strengthening Nigeria's security and correctional institution. SDP not for disgruntled politicians, says Adebayo. Your call for state of emergency senseless. Osun government, PDP tackles Senator Ajibola. State of emergency, walking interest of Rivers people, Peter Obi tells National Assembly. The state of emergency, well, Peter Obi says, walking interest of Rivers people, as he tells National Assembly. Alright, so that's the much you'll be able to take on the Vanguard. Let's move on to the Punch newspaper. So let's touch on the Punch newspaper this morning. Looking at the front page of the Punch newspaper, this one it's still about Fubara and Tinubu. Rivers emergency rule. A National Assembly backs Tinubu as Fubara counters president's allegation. Also, APC backs Tinubu as Atiku Obi El-Rufai intensify coalition talks. 25% oversubscription of first holds calls 150 billion naira rights issue paves the way for its private placement of 350 billion naira. US-based Nigerian woman faces 10-year jail for $40,980 fraud. Why I won't join El-Rufai in SDP yet? Ex-APC chieftain Lukman speaks. And deadly tanker explosions. 36 state assemblies unify rules on lawmakers' suspension impeachment. You can go further to read it. Also, teenager shot by Imo landlord dies after surgery. What a pathetic story. Barely 24 hours after surgery, the teenager shot on Monday by a landlord for jumping into his house to retrieve a ball. Oh my goodness, during a game of football. The young chap is no more. Police arrest man for stabbing wife to death during argument. British teenagers targeted by Nigerian extortion gangs, says UK agency. Ogumonok seeks school repair as collapsed classroom kills pupil. Fallen container grounds motorists and Lagos Ibadan Expressway. Nigeria Food Summit holds in Lagos. Tinubu was ill-advised. NNPP condemns emergency rule in Rivers. And lastly, this morning, Rivers Assembly backs emergency rule, pledges sole administrator support. Let me add this to it. Emergency rule in Rivers, political manipulation, says Atiku. So let's come down to the analysis. Real analysis for today comes up right about now. As I have joining me on the show this morning, Honorable Adebisi, Femi Adebisi joins the discourse. Good morning to you. Welcome to Press Drive.
Oh, good morning, Samson. It's another Friday, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the TGF edition of the show.
Yeah. And I'm conjoined, on the show, with Engineer Babalola is also around. Good morning. You're welcome.
All right, so let me bring him on. You already introduced him, engineer.
It's an honor to be introduced by Honorable. It's a big one. I wasn't expecting that. Good morning, Honorable. So I'll greet you before I greet Samson.
It's my pleasure. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone listening to us. Good morning, Samson.
All right. Yes, let's quickly get down to the story. Looking at it, Rivers emergency rule is what is, that's what is on top of everyone's lips as we speak. Everyone is speaking about it in Nigeria. Some persons are really hitting the government so hard. Suspended governor blames Wike. South governors oppose Tinubu. Ibas warns pipeline vandals. The National Assembly yesterday endorsed the state of emergency imposed on Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday. The resolution was taken at separate plenary sessions of the two chambers where they deliberated on the suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, Professor Ngozi Odu, and the State Assembly members. The Parliament backed Tinubu's proclamation amidst calls from the opposition leaders to reject it. Fubara on Thursday, however, broke his silence and debunked allegations by the federal government that he teleguided attacks on oil installations by suspected militant groups in the state. Also, the governor claims that he did nothing to rebuild the bombed State House of Assembly after he ordered the demolition of the facility was untrue. Fubara said he acted on expert advice before demolishing the assembly complex, which was said to have integrity issues. In a statement issued in Port Harcourt by his Chief Press Secretary Nelson Chukwudi, the suspended governor said it was important to put the record straight. He called out President Bola Tinubu in his speech while declaring a state of emergency in Rivers, berated Fubara for doing nothing to prevent the attack on oil pipelines. Tinubu also described Fubara as a despot, echoing the Supreme Court while alluding to the demolition of the State House of Assembly complex, thereby denying lawmakers a place to hold plenary. But the suspended governor insisted that the allegations were untrue, saying the attacks were ignited by the comments of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, who, during his media chat, allegedly disparaged the Ijaw nation. Fubara said Wike was adamant, even when Ijaw leaders and groups demanded his apologies. Fubara's statement reads, "Our attention has been drawn to a number of allegations claiming nothing to dissuade criminal groups and militants from making good their threats to attack all installations in the state." There was also another claim that after the demolition, the hallowed chamber of the State House of Assembly on Moscow Road in Port Harcourt, the governor did nothing to rebuild the facility. Ordinarily, we would ignore the statement as mere results of lack of adequate information to the presidency by those tasked with the responsibility of providing same to guide decision making. But it has become imperative to set the record straight and correct the erroneous impression such narratives are creating in the minds of the Nigerian people. First, it is important to clarify that Governor Fubara has nothing to do with the threats by militants and also did not in any way telegraph the reported attacks to any oil facility in the state. Let me make this quickly, is on record that the reaction of stakeholders of the Niger Delta, especially elders, chiefs, women, Ijaw National Congress, its youth wing, YC, as well as militants, among others, was triggered by remarks by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Chief Nyesom Wike, in a live media chat during which he dismissed Ijaws as a minority of the minorities and powerless in the Nigerian polity, saying that Ijaws are not the only ones that are militants and that can blow up pipelines, that Ogonis, Ikweres, and others are also militants and can as well blow up pipelines. I mean, is this all about pipeline vandalism right now? It's saying these ones, you are not the only militants. We also have Ikweres, we have the Ogonis, not only the Ijaw nation. And then probably the Ijaw people showed that they are not just minority of minorities, they are also a voice in River State.
Yeah, well, I think two things there. The first thing happened to be the demolition of the National Assembly complex. Yes, that was an error. I keep saying that on the side of Fubara. Around that time, you see, there was a threat of impeachment against Fubara. And he wanted to prevent that. So when you have no place to sit and the mace is not there, then you are not good to go to conduct the business of impeachment. So,
but he claimed that his predecessor in Nyesom Wike has been complaining about the dilapidated structure in that assembly, that even the lawmakers are complaining that the place isn't okay, so he had to follow expert advice.
Expert advice came at a very wrong time. So what he needed to do then was to write the National Assembly, or probably the best president, that the business of legislation in Rivers State be transferred to the National Assembly according to the Constitution. Whenever a time arises when the state houses of any state of assembly is unable to form a quorum or conduct the business of legislation. So I think the next thing to do is to transmit legislation to consider legislation to the National Assembly. So that is what he ought to have done, and he would have prevented the impeachment then. So that is on one side. On the other side, you see, the reason why there has to be why the president has to hurriedly, proclaim the state of emergency is chiefly because of the potential threat to oil installations. That is where most of them are having their treasures.
A day before, the pipeline was vandalized.
Oh yeah, so
it was blown.
See, it was a tactic by Wike. Wike knew that the moment he provoked the Ijos, he provoked them seriously, and not only that, he went to their domain. Contrary to the advice of the Hobas in that particular time. So he went there, provoked them also. So and they fell for it. It was a tactic. So the moment you have the first gunshot or bomb against any installation, the next thing that you follow is declaration of state of emergency. Because all of them, the big guys in Nigeria, they are having oil wells, oil rigs, and oil this, all that, and everything there. That is where their lives, everything lies. So they are sucking on the blood of Nigeria, given the fact that most of them are vampires. That's what they do. That's how they live. They will not tolerate that.
The verdict.
And not only that, the international oil companies, they are not patient for any country. The moment they find out that their businesses cannot run, they just divest from the country, get out of the country, and that will be bad enough for the country. That's then why the president has to hurriedly proclaim, the state of emergency, provocation, and then, the sensitivity of, everything around, the oil wells in Nigeria.
But the Nigerian Bar Association actually, they frowned at that decision by the president that he was it was not constitutional.
Well, the constitutionality, it all depends on what you call, how the court is able to, what the court says about it matters a lot, because you have different interpretations. So now the thing is this: the expediency is there, the legality is another one. So when you are talking about the legality, I'm not very fast in that. But when it comes to the expediency, you find out that the country might just run down. We might go into recession should the president allow, the continuous bombing of our installation.
So it was the right decision to make.
Well, that was the first step. But then, at the end of the day, when it comes to talking about the constitutionality, a whole lot of things are faulty, and even the approval of the state of emergency at both houses, both chambers yesterday, both the red and green, were so faulty as well. Because none of the two houses from the quorum, out of the about 64 senators that were present, many of them said they walk out. So meaning that probably you have less than 50 as against 70-something, that is about 73 that is needed to form a quorum. So, and a whole lot of things were cited. They have to even
amend. In the green chamber, there ought to be 109.
Okay, yes, 109. Yeah, and at the red chamber, you need about 73.
Exactly.
So now, So they did not get that in both chambers. But yes, not only that, they have to do actual voting. But it was nay and yes voice vote they had.
I have an issue with the nay and the the highs have it, the nays have it.
They have
an issue with that.
They have to fraudulently do something to make sure that at least the president had his way.
Okay.
But of course, the final note is that of course maybe one way or the other, Fubara will be having a kind of respite. Maybe he'll be able to sleep for a while. Because, maybe by now it would have been a declaration. And they have to quickly adjust that yesterday. It was pronounced. Because once there is a state of emergency, the business of legislation has to be transferred to the National Assembly. The control has to be transferred to the National Assembly. But the president transferred that to the Federal Executive Council, which is against the law. And it's so illegal. So, of course, a whole lot of us have to adjust it even before the... and not only that, another thing that was done yesterday, which I thought was wise, was that the rigidity of maybe that 6 months was also faulted. They said that okay, we should constitute a peace committee, a national peace committee that will look into the matter on both sides and sort it out even before the end of 6 months, so that 6 months can be reduced.
So we can restore parity.
So, yes.
Okay, so let's quickly look at this. APC backs Tinubu as Atiku Obi El-Rufai intensify coalition talks. Gabriel, let's look at this. The 2023 presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party and Peter Obi of the Labour Party, along with former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, have announced the formation of a coalition of opposition leaders to challenge President Bola Tinubu in 2024-7. I beg your pardon. The former vice president confirmed these while responding to a question on behalf of the opposition. Discussions recently on whether opposition parties should form a coalition to defeat President Bola Tinubu. Atiku has repeatedly stressed the importance of unity among opposition parties. In the latest remarks on March 8, 2002, the 2023 PDP presidential candidate revealed that he was power. After El-Rufai's move from the APC to the SDP on March 10, conversations among opposition parties and leaders gained significant traction. Atiku, accompanied by opposition leaders on Thursday, declared that the gathering marked the beginning of the coalition. Is this coalition going to stand? I'm seeing Atiku, I'm seeing Obi, whom Obi and Atiku, before this time in 2023, there was a serious issue between both of them because both ought to run under the same flag. But this time, maybe because they want to oust the present government, they are coming together. El-Rufai is part of it. Some other leaders who are chieftains of their parties are coming under this umbrella. What do you see?
I see the fact that there are no permanent friends and there are no permanent enemies, because all are gladiators and all want their interests, not to be. They want their interest, at least if for the past 4, 6, 8 years, your interests have not been covered in government and in governance, at least you want a way out in the next elections. So I think that they're all fighting for their own interests, and it saddens me so much because we are trapped in the same vicious cycle. You want Jonathan out. You wanted Jonathan out, and there was a coalition, and everybody wanted. They wanted change. All of them at the time wanted change. Change for what? Nobody cared. They didn't care. It was just about change of power from PDP into their hands, and they had it. And Nigerians suffered for it. Our GDP suffered for it. Our economy suffered for it, and we have not recovered right now. If you look at everything we had in days of Jonathan, we were crying and everything, and look at where we are today in terms of everything. So now that you are having another coalition, you can just say, this is what Atiku can do if Atiku becomes president. You talk about the good side, and you talk about the good side of Obi, you talk about the good sides of El-Rufai. I don't know any good side that he has though, but then if you talk about good sides of all these people that are coming together, do you think that one of them will allow the other one to actually exhibit his own good side. Everybody will bring their own interests to the table. So I don't think it's good for Nigeria. That's number one. Number two, you ask the question if it's something that could thrive. I think that it's going to be more bloody, because I see Asiwaju as someone who is very powerful, very intelligent, and who knows how to plan for the future. I've not seen something that Asiwaju wants to take that he has not taken. I don't see Asiwaju, since when I've, okay, let's say I've read about Asiwaju, and I've seen what Asiwaju has done and has been doing. I'm not talking about in terms of governance. I'm talking about in terms of
power,
in terms of power, in terms of taking power, in terms of competition,
grabbing power.
I don't
You want to use the word.
I don't use the word grabbing power.
Because they all grab. Everybody grabs.
He's the current president, so I'm careful. When it comes to taking something, if you are going to prevent Asiwaju from taking what he wants to take, you have to be a hell of whatever you call yourself. So let's wait and see. But I don't see Atiku and El Rufai doing much, because they don't have the backing of the people. They don't have the power of the people.
Okay.
What they will come and use is propaganda and money. But I think Obi has the people.
But when you talk about money, are they match for the president? Both of them put together.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't want to go to that extent. But let me tell you,
can they go as far as Asiwaju would go?
Somebody who
in
has
terms
been,
of
spending
the money.
Someone who has been the vice president of this country, and has been vying since when he has left office. He has been trying to come back. And don't you think about it that why is it that his money has refused to finish? There are some stakes that they have actually put themselves in. Like Honorable said the other time, that they're all gladiators, they're all vampires, and they all have stake, legal or illegal, in oil wells and oil rigs. If you have been at the helm of affairs in this country, or if you have been close to, when they went to Babangida's book launch, some of them were saying it was Babangida who gave me my first oil well.
Yeah.
Somebody who has not even been in government saying Babangida gave me oil well.
He said they called us into a room and distributed certificates to us that's your own.
You see, so someone who has been in government, how many oil wells do you think he will have?
So our patrimony is being shared. All right, no problem.
That's gambling and partitioning.
So in terms of money, they are going to spend a whole lot of money. But President Tinubu currently has the power, and anyone who wants to, take that seat from Tinubu must be someone who has access to power and access to the power of the people, who has the organic people behind them. Yeah,
okay, so let's look at this particular story for want of time. Emergency rule, Ijo to meet decide on options for self-determination. This is INC President speaking. Tuesday's declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State by President Tinubu has rekindled the quest for self-determination by the Ijo ethnic nationality in the Niger Delta. Professor Benjamin Okaba, president of Ijo National Congress, INC, the Ijo Apex Socio-Cultural Group, for Ijo people, he said in quote, we're not too happy because we see this as another slap on us. But again, our position will be deliberated upon in a wider stakeholders meeting that will be convened later. He says in that meeting, he quoted, in that meeting, I am sure the job people will look at how we have fared in this Nigerian project and what options are left to drive home our quest for self-determination. We say it is hasty because the president has so much opportunity to leverage on the cause, has so much opportunity to leverage on the cause made by Nigerians from all quarters to call his minister, Nyesom Wike, to order. Secondly, while Wike himself has been an antagonist, he had boldly stated that he would make governance impossible for the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, in as much as it does not dance to his tune. In a recent statement credited to him, Wike Wike said the two conditions he must meet are allow him to control all the local government areas in Rivers State, and that he, Fubara, should sign an agreement that he would not contest in 2027. So the man Wike is desperate to capture state power and resources, as we had said earlier, and persistently he wants to turn Rivers State into his property, and the people of Rivers State are not the ones to suffer. Honorable, I want us to look at this. These are the Ijaw people responding to what the agreement that Wike is telling Fubara to sign on. That is, number one, he's going to be in control of all local government, and then number two, he has to sign that he wouldn't contest in 2027. Are these not? Is it not biting too much than he can chew?
Well, I think if you look at the nature of Wike, Wike is somebody that is insatiable. Nothing satisfies him. If you get one, you want to get the other. Give him an inch, you want to take. Give him an inch.
When you say he's insatiable, it makes me want to laugh. I say, well, what kind of human being is that?
He will hit and never, get satisfied. That's the kind of person.
That is flesh.
Oh yeah, of course.
Insatiable.
That is his own nature. I'm not prosecuting him for that. That's his nature, and he's exhibiting his nature. So, but it's now left to you to respond to that, and the judges are now to be
insignificant.
Not just insignificant, an unknown quantity. That's the way you describe them. When you say unknown quantity, that even it's so bad enough. In fact, to me, it's an hate speech, and it's enough to provoke anybody. But look at the nature of Ijaw. Just like the Fulanis, they are a kind of bootstrappers. Whenever they want to do something, they get it. If they don't get it today, they will wait till another time when they have the opportunity to get it. And not only that, just like Fulani, they are just virtually everywhere along the coast. They are in Ondo State, they are in Delta, they are in Rivers, they are in Bayelsa. They are spread, and that's the kind of people they have.
And when they form a colony,
so of course, now they are now thinking of what you call self-determination. Now, what does that mean? Secession at the end of the day. So because that oil you are talking about is domiciled in their domain.
Because they made mention of something that the project Nigeria is
if you are slighting us because of our oil that God has given us on our own land, we can't go to farm, oil spill, we can't fish, we don't have access to good water, yet you pay little attention to us, and then we can't have access to power. And when the moment we get one, you're not saying that we cannot get another shot. So, all those things wrapped together, well, of course, I don't know how far, I know that I see why you get the power of negotiation. You know how to go about that. So, let's wait and see. Let's see the dexterity of His Excellency at play this time around. How he's going to pacify the Ijaws and make them to feel, like any other part of the country that they belong.
I'm still wondering if that statement was made against the Fulanis. The extent to which the Fulanis are ruling in this country does not commensurate with their number. They don't really, Fulani does not really have the number like that. So, but if you say something like that to the Fulanis, this nation will be on fire. Not to talk of the people that, really, I don't want to say control our wealth, but the majority of our wealth is domiciled in their domain. How would you say such a thing like that? I think
and nobody is talking about that. No, it's so.
Let's look at this story before we wrap it up, and of course, open the phone lines for those at home to join the conversation. Well, Iba's assumed office warns against sabotage. This order is giving order right now. What do you think is going to happen in Rivers? Today is all about Rivers because all over the news. Now, what do you think is going to happen? The sole administrator is now on board. We have soldiers everywhere, military guys everywhere. Is this not going to cause tension? Because,
in fact, the president, goofed in a way. He declared that Iba is having the power to enforce the rule, the law and order, Even the governor does not get that power. It's only His Excellency, the president of this country, that constitutionally got that power. You don't do that. It means that by that statement you are militarizing River State. But what you need now is a whole lot of diplomacy and political negotiation that you need to restore law and order, not the use of force this time around. But of course, the reason why Iba is a choice is because, yes, he understands the terrains of the oil rigs and oil wells.
He's a Niger
So he's
Delta
a Nava
man.
person. Well, he's from Akwa Ibom. So,
they are all Niger Delta.
Well, of course, the people in River State want to say, look, why not somebody from River State? But of course, the national asset there. So, but of course, I think the National Assembly in their wisdom did something that is wise yesterday by telling him that, look, Mr. President, you cannot control River State. It is the federation that can do that, that has the power, legitimate to do that. And that will be, that power will be domiciled with the National Assembly. That was done yesterday. Well, of course, I hope in practice that one will be effected.
All right, so, well, our studio lines officially open 0705 510 0705 510 or 0905 444 Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning to you.
My SAMSON.
Good morning, sir.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine.
Barika Dimao.
Wish you the same.
Baba Babalola.
Yes, sir. Good morning,
Mama
sir.
Kini.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
My honorable.
Good morning, my evangelist, sir.
I tell you, salute you.
Well, same from here, sir.
Thank you, sir. Barika Dimao.
Yeah.
I am evangelist Solatawo from Duke Araba.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
You see, the approval by the Senate and House of Reps is get on a right. Because that me or I is not free for this kind of matter. We don't know which is which. They should do it by vote, not by voice vote. No, it's not realistic. It's a common day. And I don't like it. You see,
when you say Sakama J, what does that mean?
It's not 1 9 now.
Okay, yeah, you just give it a more subtle name.
Yes, pass it over.
Yeah.
You look everybody. Me, Sakama J, you go near. Potential of Banka Ferrano Kawati now.
All right. Okay.
Everybody in Nigeria want to buy you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. What can you do? I mean, he's asking for your help. All right. So, hello. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. OMOTOSHO.
Good morning to you, Baba.
Good morning, Baba Lola.
Good morning, Baba, sir.
Good morning,
Yes, sir.
my honorable
Carol, sir.
Adebisi.
Good, Carol, sir.
You see, all these things they are doing now, it will tell on Nigeria for suffering. Ṣé kò ní wọ́n báyìí? Ṣé wò ní jẹ́ tí ń ṣe kinní yìí? Ṣé wàá dá emergency kinní lẹ́fẹ̀ẹ́ nílùú yẹn? Ṣé kò ní máa fẹ̀tà wá Nàìjíríà báyìí tí àní máa jẹ? Tí àwọn ìdájẹ́ ń jà yìí ń Wike àti ààrẹ wọ́n darí Wike síwájú ni láti máa dààmú wá Nàìjíríà. Àní Wike dẹ̀ ló ń ṣe gbogbo eléyìí. Tó ẹ tún wò tó tún lọ bá àwọn ọba nílùú yẹn ó tún láyàláyà. Ó yẹ ká ti tà wọ́n ti wà kan fún ni. Kẹ́rí ibi tọ́rọ̀ ń lọ báyìí. Orí àwa kéékèèké yìí ni wọ́n ń jàjà yẹn lé lórí.
Okay.
Ṣé gbọ́ mi?
Thank you, Baba.
Láti àkàrà ló sọ̀rọ̀.
Thank you.
Ìdájẹ́jà àfẹ́kẹ́ fún wọn mọ́ o.
Thank you.
Àfẹ́kẹ́ pẹ̀tró wọn mọ́ o.
All
Ẹ
right.
máa bá ètò bọ̀.
Thank you. All right, so 0705 510 Let's be as succinct as possible, please. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Samson.
Good morning to you, Tolu.
Yeah, I get out that the arranging of the line.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, welcome.
Yes, sir. I think the NYC core member should be applauded and seen as a liberator for our people. Because why is it that the federal government just committed in fulfilling their promises of paying them 77,000 naira after the outburst that happened a few days ago? So the federal government is waiting for people to be calling them out before doing the needful, right? That is very bad of a leader. Sincerely. Because once you make a promise, you should work towards fulfilling them. You should work towards, you should try and work with your talk. But reverse is the case in this government. That is why they are fond of lies and propaganda. In fact, we don't even tend to believe them anymore, whether they're even saying the truth. Thank you. Good morning.
All right, thank you so much, Tolu, for calling. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Yeah, Ruth calling from Malakia.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the gift, though. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you. I-FLIER FM. Good morning to my daddy over there.
Good morning, Sister Ruth. How are you?
Yes, sir. As regards the River State, sir, we just all the both party. So please allow peace to ring among themselves. So that's my contribution. Good morning.
All right, thank you for calling. Let's get another caller here. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello.
Good morning.
I greet the two analysts.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you, sir.
For that good job. I'm Comrade Joshua from Molodo.
Good morning, my comrade. How are you, sir?
This case will be de-radicalized because all accusing fingers are pointed to him as the antagonist or possibly the protagonist of the crime in River State. I see no reason why to be feared, although the impeachment has saved the governor of public ignominy.
0705-500-1033. Let's quickly go for this timeout, and when we're back, the program continues. Please stay with us.
My people, me and you don't get electricity wahala again. No, OIC Solar don't make and day easy kulele. With this new kind of bonga easy life solar product, we then just carry land with the multi for Ibadan. With this them powerful solar kits, we there for different sizes, original power stations like a 200 watts, 300 watts, 600 watts. With the inverter embedded solar kits, we get 6 brighter bulbs, an attractive solar radio within charging points. Bona fit take charge your phones, correct solar freezer, different lithium batteries, tabular batteries, portable Android projector, different solar inverters, electric motorbike, we sharp as we they sell, we they install. Now so we they repair power solar system and components. OIC. Now the Bonga confirm accredited distributor for all the companies them where they produce original solar products from Obodo Yibo them, big companies, churches, mosque, event center, everybody. Wakago OIC Solar Company today for Shop C4, NTA Shopping Complex, Agodi Gate, Ibadan. Now so then they for SAMSON Shopping Complex, Kulodi Junction, New Ife Road, Ibadan. Website www.oicsolar.net. For Instagram plus TikTok, OIC Solar 1. Tulu 081 05020388. Better light don't come.
Are you in search of high-quality products made of floor to satisfy your consumption and enjoyment? Search no further. Let your search end with us. Crown Floor Meal is how the
Lina is available at a store near you at affordable prices. Be a king and queen in your home. Always with Crown Floors.
All right, so welcome back. If you're just tuning in, the program is Press Drive on I-FLIER 103.3 FM, Ibadan. The phone lines are open. You can call in. Let me quickly go on Facebook. On Facebook, Pastor Dr. Famuyiwa says, Maestro, great. Okay, I of course, all of that. He's greeting all of you, as usual. And of course, good morning, Engineer Balola. He greets you. Good morning to you. Okay, on Rivers. Fubara should take it as the will of God. Ditto to Natasha. Barika Jimo. Okay. Well, Tolu Lokpadeyemi says, good morning. The news surrounding the recruitment of more agro rangers across the country is a good one and a welcome development if it won't just be on the pages of our newspapers, because the rate of criminality and insecurity keeps increasing and has degenerated to the extent that it has put the country on a standstill where nothing seems to be working again, which calls for urgent concerns by the federal government. And I also think it's high time the federal government grants state police, since security is local and the performance of Amotekun Corps, your state is giving us the assurance that they would do well if state police should be allowed. Okay. Lakule Akomu says, good morning, wonderful team. I-FLIER. Okay, higher, I-FLIER radio. Thank you. You're the best. Thank you. Lutoyin says, good morning, sir. Well done from Felele. Thank you. Tulu Alashe Adetola says, it's so unfortunate that the situation of Nigeria is not being friendly on daily basis. May God have mercy on average Nigerians. Thank you. Omade Adekunle says, the state of emergency, a declaration in Rivers State has denied the democratic right of the people of the state. Thank you so much. Oluwaseun Ruth says, good morning, I-FLIER. As regards insecurity, it's high time the federal government stop politicizing insecurity and focus on how to secure the lives movement. And they're not finding it funny.
Yeah, well, I mentioned it some time ago. I did a kind of data of our forest reserve in Nigeria, and I found out that Ondo State is having the largest concentration of forest reserve in Nigeria, and they were backed, by Edo State, which is having the single biggest forest reserve. So after that comes Sambisa. So when you put that together in that particular axis, and you have a scenario where the forests are not properly governed, effectively governed, then what do you expect? So that provides a kind of heaven for the bandits and other organized criminals. So and we need a situation, because one, I criticize Amatekun